Good morning class. Today we are going to discuss our second term syllabus, that is physical and chemical changes. As we know that change is the law of nature, so we are going to discuss different types of changes that occur in our nature, and we are going to discuss some of them. First of all, our type is reversible and irreversible changes. A change is said to be reversible when the opposite change can be brought, like the change which can be brought back. Once it is done, it can be brought back. So such changes will be called as reversible changes, such as heating and cooling of a substance. Another one which cannot be brought back by even after the changing the conditions, even after reversing the conditions. Such kind of changes will be irreversible changes, such as charred sugar, curd made from milk, growth of a plant. Such kind of changes will be irreversible changes. Now move to the next one, desirable and undesirable changes. The changes which are useful to us, that will be useful to us, all those changes will be known as desirable, and some of the changes that we do not want, which will be harmful or not at all useful to us, that will be called undesirable changes, such as rusting of iron, spoiling of food, earthquake, cyclones, volcanic eruptions. All these will be called as undesirable changes. Now, next move to our next topic, physical and chemical changes. Physical changes, a change in which no new substance are formed. It means change is happening, but after the change in the product side, there is no new substance. It means no kind of new substance is forming there. So such kind of changes will be called as physical changes, such as melting of ice, freezing of water. When we melt ice becomes into water. The substance, the main ingredient of the substance remains the same, that is water. Again, in the freezing of ice is converted into water, that will remain the same. Another, let's move to the more examples, glowing of a heater or a bulb, melting of any of the solid, freezing of any of the liquid, sublimation. This is the important one. What is sublimation? When a solid directly changes into vapors without being into a liquid state, such is called as sublimation, and such changes are known as physical changes. The dissolution of a substance in a liquid. These activity you have to read by yourself, and then I will ask you in the class. Drying of clothes, evaporation and boiling of a liquid. Now let's move to the chemical changes. A change which is occurring. Read out the definition. A change in which new substances are formed and which cannot be reversed by reversing the conditions is called a chemical change. Like chemical changes are those one in which change is happening, and at the end product side we are getting a new substance of the reactant side, such as burning of coal or wood. We take a piece of wood, but when we burn it, it turns into ashes. So ashes is a new substance rather than wood. So such kind of changes will be known as chemical changes. Paper, wood or anything burning will be lead to chemical change. Now next is rusting. When we put any kind of metal such as iron, after the change it turns into a rusted iron. It means it is forming a rust, a new substance. So such kind of change will be known as rusting. Now the cooking of food. Once the food is cooked, it cannot be reversed back into the raw form. So such kind of changes are chemical changes. Curdling of milk. When milk is curdled, it cannot be reversed back to the milk. So such kind of change is chemical change. Boiling of an egg. A boiled egg cannot be reversed back to a raw egg. Next, digestion. Food is digested in our body, and this change is known as chemical change. Fermentation. Fermentation means in the presence of enzyme. Whenever a substance is fermented, it forms into such as boiling texture, and carbon dioxide is formed in this process, and carbon dioxide is liberated in form of gas. Next is photosynthesis. It is also known as a chemical change because carbon dioxide and moisture, means water ultimately forms glucose oxygen which cannot be reversed back. Again, respiration, when we respire, the oxygen of air is combines with the glucose form. Again, this is not reversible, so it is a chemical change. Glowing of a mixture of iron and sulfur when heated. You have to read this activity also. It is an important one. Change of mass in a chemical change, you have to read thoroughly, and after that read this. In these examples, mass of carbon burnt plus that of oxygen taken. You have to read all these examples. Now let me tell you, the total mass of the substances taking part formed in the change remains the same. The total number of reactants and the products will always remain the same. After this, you have to read thoroughly all the changes of the physical change and chemical change of a substance. Okay, up to this you have to read, revise it thoroughly, and I am giving you some of the questions later on in the video part, and you have to do all those questions in your fair notebook by taking reference of this chapter. Thank you all.